Hey guys, Aaron Zeller here of the Zeller Writing Company and inkonhand.com. If you've been in the store lately or you've checked out the site and seen some of the reviews we've been doing recently, you've probably noticed the new brand we started to carry. It's Organic Studio. It is a really small company based out of Maryland, made by Tyler Thompson. He's a college student, he's a chemist, and he makes really good ink. And over the past month or so, I've had a chance to play around with a lot of these inks, and now I want to let you know a little bit about them. So let's check them out. Now, there are currently 3 different series in the Organic Studio Ink line of products. They are the Element series, the Sepia series, and then the Writing Master series. Now, in the Element series, there are 8 different inks. There's Boron Brown, Carbon Black, Cobalt, which is the blue. Neon is going to be a red-orange. It's actually a really bright orange, I think. Mercury is a really solid red with some great shading. Manganite 5 is an awesome blue-black. It's a little heavier on the blue side, but that's awesome. I really like that one. Uranium is a really good green ink. And then Nickel is a cyan turquoise ink. And a big thing to note about all of these inks is that they're noted for their good shading qualities. You can even tell that the Mercury here shades wonderfully from the dark, the really heavy saturation, to the light. Same with the Manganite 5, Uranium, and you can tell there's plenty of shading there. The Nickel has a little bit right there, and that allows it to drop. The Neon, just all of these inks here shade really well top to bottom, heavy saturation to light. When you're writing with them, it really shows, especially when you're using a lighter paper. They're just awesome. And they all have really good dry time too. I haven't done ink reviews of all of them yet. I have done some of the inks of the line, and I do intend to do all of them over time. I'm not going to push them all out in one day, but I will get them all out at some point. And then so after the Element series, there is the Sepia series. Now this line just has this series just has 2 different inks. It's the Join or Die Sepia and the Foggy Bottom Sepia. Now the Join or Die is a green sepia, because with the Sepia series there's always kind of like there's different shades of what sepia really is. If you look at the old photographs and everything, there's the yellow sepia, which is actually more of a brown, and then the green sepia, and I'm sure there are other sepias that he'll come out with at some point. But these themselves, they have really good shading. I wasn't a huge fan of the Join or Die when I first got it, just because the color is a little weird. But I started using it just because it was in a pen. I didn't want to just pour the ink back into the bottle or anything like that. I just used all the ink up, and by the end I really liked it. It shades really nicely on off-white paper. On this whiter paper, it's a little bit harder to see it, but when you have off-white like an ivory, it really shows, and it just looks really good together. I really liked how it performed. And then the Foggy Bottom, I haven't had a chance to use that in a pen yet, but I will be getting an ink review out for it. And I'm sure it's going to be just as nice as the Join or Die. And then the third series is the Writing Masters series, and he has a lavender or purple Jane Austen ink. Edgar Allan Poe, which is an awesome blood red. If you've seen some of my other videos, it's what I've been using a lot lately of. And it just looks great. The shading is phenomenal. And then Charles Darwin is actually, as a left-handed person, I am a huge fan of this ink. It doesn't shade very much because it's a fast-drying ink. So you're not going to get very much shading because it has to dry really quick, soak into the paper really quickly in order to dry quickly. So you don't get a lot of shading, but it dry. I could show you a sample really quick of of the Charles Darwin. Clean these up really quick, and I'll find some paper and a pen with it in there. I always have it inked up in at least one of my pens, because as a left-handed person, I'll smear, but if I have to do a lot of writing really quickly, I'll use the Charles Darwin because it's going to be dry before, once it's on the paper, by the time my hand will hit it, it's going to be dry. I'll just show you. I have, grab this little stack right here. I have my Pelikan M200, is where I currently have it inked up in. I used to have it in my Ahab Flex, but with the amount of ink that comes out, because it soaks into the paper so quickly, I didn't want to use the Flex pen with it, because of the amount of ink that comes out. It just bleeds right through every page. So I put into this one where it just makes more of a steady line with a steady flow instead of the crazy light and then really heavy and light and stuff with the flex. So here is Moleskine or Moleskine, however you want to pronounce it. It is notoriously horrible for fountain pens. It's thin, it's just about 70 pounds. It's not advertised as fountain pen friendly by any means, and it does not perform fountain pen friendly in a lot of cases. So I'll show you really quick how it performs with this though, because one of the good qualities of the Moleskine paper is that since it is thinner, it does absorb all ink pretty quickly. It dries fast, so as long as you're not worried about using both sides of the page, it's actually a pretty good paper to use for that. But I'll show you. This is just going to bleed through crazy fast. These are just some quick lines. I'll actually zoom in really quick so you can see. I don't know if you can see any feathering. If you can see it, as soon as I put the drop down, it spreads out really quickly. I'll look at the back. And yeah, it is bled through completely on the back really quickly. And then pretty much everywhere I put a little drop or a dot, bled through onto the next page. And even bled through that one a little bit. So yeah, so it absorbs really quickly through paper. It feathers quite a bit. You're going to get plenty of show through, but it's completely dry is the big thing. But that's Moleskine paper. It's not for fountain pens so much, so let's check out Rhodia paper here. Here's Rhodia, and I'll just do the simple. I had some skipping there. You can see with the drop, yeah, even that spreads out and feathered just a little bit on there, whip through. And of course it did bleed through some on that, but if I'm writing, like say just my signature or something, like that, you just really get some show through and a little bit of bleed through, but nothing onto the next page. So as long as I'm not writing on the next page itself, on the back of the page, it is a really good ink to use. And when I'm writing a lot of things really quickly, like notes in class or something, just a lot of stuff really fast, it will write on the page. It won't bleed through to the next page. It will bleed through the page itself, but I tend to not write on the back of the pages that I'm using. So it works really well for me. It's a solid black, no shading, but fast drawing, and that's really what I like. So now let's check out the actual bottles themselves, the packaging of this ink. Now the bottles themselves, there's nothing too special about them. Each of the boxes, I won't bring out all of them just because they all kind of look the same, but they all have pretty much the name of the ink and this little label on it. Nice standard cardboard box. All the Writing Masters editions have the actual image of the writer itself on there. The Sepia series is a little different. The Writing Masters and the Sepia series are not limited editions, but they're special editions. So they will come, the first 100 bottles of each are numbered. And we do have some of those. So here, like the Joiner die, it has a cuttlefish on there, imitating Benjamin Franklin there with his hair and his glasses. Made Philadelphia Pen Show 2013, and then they are all numbered, the first 100 bottles. So of course, after we run out of the first 100 bottles, they're not going to still be numbered, but still going to be the same ink, performing great. The Foggy Bottom was the first of the Sepia series, and the presentation for that is a little different than the standard bottle, the standard box that the others come in. And that's a 2-part box. It comes off. It's a glass bottle inside, 2 ounces, and it's really, really nice. It just has a standard label on the front. So craft box is just basically it's 2 craft boxes that Tyler cut himself. To have a little window right here to a little nice display, little display area if you wanted to. There's a little bit of dust on these bottles just from the package itself, but they're not dusty by any means. And this is the only one of the inks that I know of right now that has glass bottles. All these other bottles are plastic. So you don't really have to worry about them breaking or anything during shipping at all. Try to get this back on there. There we go. Like here's the Charles Darwin. And they are kind of Noodler's-esque bottles as far as the shape goes, but they are made out of plastic. So they're a little flexible. Yeah, but I really like the Writing Masters edition, or the Masters of Writing series, just because they have the image of the writer on there, but the inks just perform really well. The Edgar Allan Poe, out of all of these inks, aside from the fast-drying Charles Darwin here, but the only reason I really like the Charles Darwin is because it dries so quickly. The one I really, really like is this Edgar Allan Poe. It's blood red. And I'm a big fan of Edgar Allan Poe. If you actually look in the background of my videos, one of the signatures that I have framed is one of Edgar Allan Poe's, or actually is Edgar Allan Poe's. He really only has one signature. Yeah, but the bottles themselves, they are filled pretty much to the top. There's a little bit of a gap. Pretty much you get the height of the lid is how much of a gap you have here. So it's pretty much from here down, completely full. They are 2-ounce bottles, so just about 60 milliliters. And so you get a lot of ink. It's good value. They are about $6.50, I believe, or $12.50, $12.99 or so per bottle for 60 milliliters. They're $12.99 to $13.99, I believe, for the Masters of Writing, and the Sepia series are going to be the $13.99 a bottle, and then the regular Elements ones are $12.99, I believe, but I could be wrong about that. So overall, I really like these inks. We do have samples available of each of these inks if you want to try them out before getting a full bottle, just to make sure you like the ink. But their shading, they're actually noted, like in the actual description that I get from Tyler, that they are made for shading inks. They perform extremely well, and I am a huge fan of shading. So they definitely meet my expectations for that. So I think that's about it about these inks. Like I said, I will go and get more thorough reviews of each of these individual inks, so you have some more information about those. But for now, I think that's a good overall introduction to the Organic Studio inks, the brand, and hopefully there's some more inks to come because these are really, really nice. So I think that I covered these inks pretty well, but if you have any questions about them or anything else for that matter, feel free to let me know in the comments below, or you can always send me an email at ajzeller@zellerwritingcompany.com. Thanks. See you later.